Nice. Hey everyone, it's Kylie here from mylifestyleshow.tv. Thank you so much for joining us, and apologies for slight technical issues. One of us could hear each other and one of us couldn't hear each other. As you love technology, that's what it's all about. So welcome aboard. Thanks for being here today. I know you're extremely busy. Our theme for the show today is keeping going in business even when the going gets tough. And I've got the fantastic Zoe Richards join me today. And so if you haven't been on the show before, it's basically a live web interactive TV show. And the aim of the show is to provide vision and motivation for highly successful professionals to get out there and create their own lifestyle businesses. And I do that through fantastic interviews with highly successful people that have already created their own businesses. We look at some of their successes, some of their journeys, some of their mistakes, which is always good to learn from, so that we can fast track your success if that's what you choose to do. So I don't forget to, don't hesitate to put some questions below. I'll be trying to check them. I'm checking them on my phone today because I haven't got my spare laptop. So I'll try and make sure they get answered live, any questions that you've got. I have had a couple emailed to me, so we'll go through them as well live. And yeah, please do feedback, any comments. So I've got lovely Zoe Richards with us today. Now, Zoe is a highly successful business coach and strategist. She's the founder of How to Make a Lemonade Life and the Success Revolution, which she's going to talk more about very shortly. Previously, she's got a very strong corporate background, I guess, across human resources, recruitment, and obviously management development. I know she ran massive projects across the NHS, bless her, with over 5,000 employees, things like that. So, you know, and then she started her own journey. She's got a phenomenal story about what she's been through to get to where she is today. So I'm excited to have Zoe on the board sharing some of her insights, I guess. And there's a few things she's going to specifically teach us today, and that's three simple strategies for business survival, 2 simple tools to keep you sane, which I love that title, and a simple step to make a big difference. You know, Zoe's about getting down to results, and that's why I was really excited to have her on the show. So I'm going to hand you over to Zoe. She's going to share some of her story, and then we're going to answer some questions and have a bit of a chat from there. So Zoe, welcome aboard.
Hello, thank you. It's good to be here. And my
lovely to have you.
The technology seemed to be failing at this end today.
That's fine. That's what technology is all about. That's the joys of it. No problems whatsoever. So,
oh, you froze.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
You froze for me a little bit there.
My followers, and just letting them.
I'm not sure if I've frozen for you, but you've definitely frozen for me. Hello? You've definitely frozen for me. I don't know whether you can you see me? Now this is an odd one because I don't know whether to carry on talking. Can you let me know whether or not you can, I don't know whether we can unfreeze on this now. Oh, I can hear you again now. Everything froze completely for us.
Love technology. I didn't know whether it was you or me, but yeah, I froze this time, so I'm back. Definitely one of those days today. my internet connection just dropped out completely. So, yeah, sorry about that. So please go on.
So, I think you were just asking me to say about my background. Is that right? Is that where we got to?
Yeah, we'll get there.
Great. Okay, so well, my background goes back to working, first of all, working in a job that I could have done from my O-levels, which were our exams at the end of the school year when you were 15, 16, and did a degree and managed to get nothing because it was a recession. But doing that job, managed to then eventually get into personnel, as it was known in those days. And so I went off to work for Bird's Eye Walls, which is a frozen food company. They used to have a factory near me in Liverpool. And I worked there for, must have been around about 3 years, I think it was, something like that. And in those 3 years, I had, I've got to say, the best training you could ever ask for. It was, or it still is, a Unilever company, and Unilever do really good, strong training. Now that's important because to me, that base to who I am is part of why I am the person I am today. But also because of one particular man, John Smethurst, who was he was in charge of the training side of things right across the whole company in the UK.
Wow.
And so my job was factory training officer and personnel officer, or factory training and personnel officer. I can't remember the exact title now, but something like that. And he was responsible for me on the training side of things. And I remember when I was made redundant, I was offered a job over in Grimsby, but if you've never been to Grimsby, and I'm sorry, I'm probably going to offend somebody who lives in Grimsby. But yeah, it wasn't my choice from living here on the beautiful west coast to go over onto the east coast of Grimsby. So I had to leave the company when they were closing the company down in Liverpool. And I remember talking to John Smethurst and saying, you know, everything you've done for me, all the training you've given me, all the support you've given me, and I'm never going to be able to pay you back. And his answer has stuck with me, and it's really part of the core of me as a result of what he said that day. Because his answer was, you can pay me back. The way you'll pay me back is you'll be there to help and support other people. And you know, what better thing to say to, what was I, about 26, 27, something like that? What better thing to say to a young woman who's still fairly impressionable, but also is mindful of, I want to do things to help other people. And it's thanks to him that I am that kind of person now today, that I will give back.
And that's awesome, and I think that's really important though, isn't it? Because, you know, we were just discussing this yesterday on Facebook, actually, funnily enough, is, you know, when people shift, a lot of people, I guess, get started in business because they focus on obviously wanting to make an income, wanting to make money, but actually, and especially I find this in a lot of women entrepreneurs, it's not about that, it's about making a difference, isn't it? And serving other people and helping other people, and that's when we get really passionate. Yeah. So I love that. That's just awesome, and so it's such inspiring for someone. Yeah, you don't see that.
I often think I'd love to encounter John Smethurst again one day, but you know, who knows? But if I ever do find him again, I'll be just saying to him, thank you for turning me into the woman that I am now today, and that I'm proud that I am today. Oh, but I've got to say, there's a bit of a hiccup in the middle of that story, though. Yeah,
I was going to say, I'm sure there's a little bit missing somewhere in the line there.
There's a gaping hole in the middle, and I fell down that hole. My career progressed, so I eventually became Director of Staff Development for John Moores University. I then actually went off and ran my first business, which was a consultancy business. And I've got a wonderful husband who's just brought me a cup of tea. Being an English girl, I've got to have the cup of tea next to me.
You can so tell this is live, guys.
He's from work. He's still got his coat on.
Bless.
Yeah, so I fell down this gaping hole after I'd been Director of Staff Development and went off and ran my first business. And in my first business, I got phenomenally busy. I did the first business because I wanted to spend more time with my daughter. But actually what it did for me was it became hugely successful by accident, not by design. And I was literally travelling the length and breadth of the country. I remember my worst drive that I did, I'd finished working in Aberdeen, and the next day I had to be in Salisbury.
Oh my God, that's like
a hell of a long drive.
just a little trek.
Yeah, I did it literally overnight. I think I got something like 3 hours sleep. Oh, it was an awful drive. But anyway.
But that's really powerful, though, and it's a really common occurrence. And it's one of those things that I love with what I do as well. It's like you said, it's that strategy side about working less than working harder. And a lot of people do create a job for themselves, and they don't mean to, because, like you said, whether it's success or whether it's just determination or whether it's, you know, the demands of actually suddenly having all the hats on, you know, when you leave and you go out and do what you want to do, you suddenly become the salesperson, you become the marketer, you become the person delivering the work plus the person getting the work, and you know, it can easily drive you down like that. So you start to create a lifestyle. You think that that's why you're leaving work, to get your life back,
and you do it the wrong way around.
And it's a common occurrence. So it's really interesting.
I think part of it is because when we work corporately, we're actually blissfully unaware of so many of our skills. So I didn't know I could sell. I'd worked corporately, for goodness sake. I'd not even worked in a sales environment. So I had no knowledge that I could sell. In fact, if anybody had told me, you're going to do a job where you sell, when I was in my 20s and 30s, or 20s and very early 30s, I'd have just laughed them out of town, saying, don't be ridiculous, I can't sell, and I hate selling. Why would I want to do anything to do with selling? And, you know, I left the corporate life and discovered oh, so this is what selling is. It's helping people. Oh, well, I can do that. And discovered all these skills I was good at. And through that, that's how the business grew and grew and grew. Now, there's another part to the story as well, which is that my husband works for what was Gyrobank, became Alliance and Leicester. And at this point in, it would be about the mid-90s, mid to late 90s-ish, he thought he was going to get made redundant. And he wasn't, but he was convinced that he was going to be made redundant. And so I asked him over Christmas lunch, so what would you do if you had the choice to do anything at all? What would you do? He said, well, I'd open a shop. So me having the training background, and anyone listening in who's got the training background will get this. I think it was 8 sheets of flip chart paper, sellotape them all together on the back, and we created the most enormous mind map you've ever seen in your life.
That's what I do.
And at the end of that, we had this really brilliant plan. In the middle of it, it had one word: sanctuary.
Oh,
now,
okay.
we folded it all up and going, yeah, that was a good idea, as if that's going to happen. Put it underneath the sofa, and a mate of ours came round for New Year's Eve, and we were talking to Dave, and drinks flowing, and so we started to get a bit freer about what we were talking about, and said, oh, we've got this crazy idea, we'll open a shop. And Dave's answer was, great, let's talk about it. So we got the 8 flip chart sheet of mind map out over the floor, and the 3 of us then pouring all over it. And from there, Dreamcatcher was born.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Dreamcatcher was a retail business that we set up.
Yeah.
Whatever was the day of the Manchester bombing, that was the day we opened.
Yeah.
I struggle to remember now. It feels like a long time ago. Something like 97, I think.
I was going to say, I think that's probably the year I got here. I'm trying to think of when it was. I remember hearing about it, but I don't remember the dates very well, yeah.
So it's around that time anyway.
I might have still been on a plane.
So we opened a shop. Now, the shop actually became a rescue, and this is probably the story of my life, that things go wrong and then a rescue happens. Now, within this, my daughter is pretty much showing me that she hates me. She was 4 or 5 years old at the time. She's saying to her dad, divorced mommy will have a better life without her. To be fair to her, I think she was probably right at that time, because I was doing this job, travelling, literally going up and down the country, so she didn't see much of me. Daddy's taking her off to McDonald's all the time. They're having great fun. Mum comes home and shouts because the house is in a tip. Why would she want this woman around who was shouting all the time? The 2 of them were becoming closer and closer, and the result, this is the shorthand version of it, but the result of it is that I decided to take my own life. Now, when I look back, I believe I was suffering depression, but I didn't know, because I'm one of those people who laughs a lot of things off. So I was laughing off some of the things that were happening around me that were actually illustrative of me being depressed. And I went to the doctor at one point because things were feeling tough and I wasn't sleeping. He said, just see how it goes. There's another bit to the story I'll come back to in a moment, which is very relevant. And then I went to see the health visitor because my daughter wasn't eating properly, and I felt as though I might be depressed and perhaps should talk to her. And don't be silly, postnatal depression isn't something that's delayed. Well, I've later discovered that postnatal depression can be something that is delayed. So I think when I look back, that was probably my story, but it wasn't something I knew about. But I got to the stage where I drove onto the beach. My husband and I had a row, or more accurately, I'd had a row with myself. That's Rob used to joke about this. Oh, are you just going to have an argument with yourself again now, Zoe? Which, of course, would just make me blow even more. It didn't work. Anyway, we get to the point of my 35th birthday, and on the night of my 35th birthday, we decide that we're getting divorced. So there's all of this in it as well. And I tried to take my own life. But the only problem is, so I've driven onto this beach, which you can't do this now, but in these days, when I was trying to do this, you could drive onto the beach and keep driving until you hit Ireland. Well, you wouldn't actually hit Ireland, you'd hit the sea first, but so you could keep going forever. But I get to this beach, and it's a dingy, dark October night, and it's raining. But there's people on the beach in their cars, and I'm thinking, what are you doing here? How can I take my life if you're here? So I can laugh about it now and joke about it now, but I couldn't back then.
But at the time, no. But isn't that so powerful? I mean, so many people are struggling with depression nowadays, and It's like I said, people don't talk about it, and they still don't talk about it. You think nowadays it's like, come on, enough's enough.
Yeah.
You know, and I just went through exactly the same process in the last week. I lost a cousin in the last week and back in Australia, and he's 26, and he took his own life over just normal everyday drama. You know, it's like a girlfriend dumped him and whatever, and you just like the build up that you don't notice is there until the point of something happening. It's just phenomenal.
Family, because I know I've lost my own sister, so I do know that it is hard losing a family member. So
it's like you said, you can't see it, and I think a lot of people are going, we didn't see this coming. And I think, you know, he was a bit the same. He fought it off, he laughed it off, he was a life and soul party apparently.
Yeah.
And that's the hard bit, I think, is that you don't spot it when you're like that. It's like you said, until you look back.
You see, most people, they're looking at the packaging. So there were plenty of clues there with me, but people were just looking at the packaging. And the packaging, you can see the packaging here, you know, it's not too bad. I know how to put makeup on, I know how to get dressed.
Okay. Yeah.
Certain signs that people look for that say you're depressed. Well, I wasn't illustrating those signs because I was getting up out of bed, I was brushing my hair, I was cleaning my teeth, I was putting makeup on, I was getting dressed quite nicely. And so some of the signs that people look for were just not present. So, but the upshot of this is I didn't do it, just in case anybody thinks you are.
We're not talking to a ghost today, then. That would make my show go viral, I'm sure. Having a chat with Zoe the ghost today.
Yeah, hey!
We're glad you didn't, because we know you've made a massive impact on a lot of lives now. So we're very glad you didn't do that.
I'm glad I did too. And you know, the person whose life I think I've impacted most, that I'm glad. Well, actually, the two people whose lives I've probably impacted most. The person who helped me to decide that I wouldn't even try again, and that's because I sat there in the car waiting for these other cars to go and realised if I go, my daughter is actually going to live with the stigma that her mother killed herself.
Yeah.
And so I've made that difference for her, that she didn't have to live with that stigma. But more important, she's such an amazing woman. And okay, it wasn't all me, but a big bit of it was me. Oh, incidentally, by the time she got to 14, we were in London together, just her and myself. And we're walking to our hotel, which was near to Madame Tussauds. And I remember as we're walking past Madame Tussauds, she turns to me and she says, "Oh, by the way, Mum, I've told Dad he doesn't need to divorce you anymore."
That's nice to know. but it's so powerful, though, isn't it? You know, the impact, and you know, and this is why I get so passionate about people having their lives back, because you know, nowadays we're so under pressure all the time, and you know, you see it continue. I was talking to someone yesterday about their divorce they were going through, and it was all down to money. You know, it was all down to money issues and life issues, and you're like, they actually love each other. And it's the same when you see it with kids. It's awful the impact today's life is having on kids and family, and you know, wonder why we've got no family values left. Is just because people don't have any time for each other anymore.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's awesome.
You say about the divorce side of things. So of course, in that story, I said that my husband and I decided on my 35th birthday that we would get divorced. Well, the rescue bit was the shop. So we were struggling with the shop and saying, "Oh my word, we've got this shop we're running that's actually quite successful." So we turned over around about £150,000 income per year with it, or thereabouts. I can't remember the exact amount, but for a 480 square foot unit, which was tiny, that was a significant sum of money. So we worked out a way in which we would manage the shop as we go through the divorce. And then we discovered, oh, well, if we can work this successfully in the shop, maybe we just need to approach our marriage as if it's a business. And that's what we did. Plus, I did one thing which I firmly believe in, and I challenge anybody listening in to do this as well. Go today, look at the person that bugs you the most, and find one thing, just one thing that you like about them. Because that's what I did with my husband. Every day I would look and think, okay, what's one thing I can like about him? Okay, our secret is he still bugs me at times. But I'm sure he could say the same about me.
But it's also such a simple little exercise, isn't it? And you do forget, you know, when you're busy and stuff like that, you forget what you love about each other and why you're there. And even with friendships and things like that, you know, friends can get annoying, and you're like, actually, suddenly you go, oh, that's what they're there for, or you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, awesome.
So from there I went back to work corporately, having done the shop. I was also a partner in a radio station as well.
That's right, yeah.
A local radio station. We had to find the way to prove that we needed a radio station first, and then we were able to get the license. We couldn't get it automatically. We had to tender for it. And whilst we were going through the tender process, we were doing such a good job that we started to get offers for the business at that stage. We pushed those away, but in 2 years we did manage to get to a point where we were the fastest growing local radio fastest to sell local radio station ever in the history of local radio stations.
Wow.
So we sold it. I'm sad to say that the station doesn't exist anymore. It would be lovely if it did. But the little bit of the story that I said before about with the doctor, that he said to me that let's see how it goes. Well, I did go back to him another time and said, I really am depressed and I need some help. Now, bear in mind the bit of the story that I tried to kill myself to go and drove onto the beach and to drive into the sea. Now, the radio station that I part-owned was called Dune FM. So I've already got this connection with the beach still. But the doctor's prescription for me was go for a walk on the beach.
No. Oh, sorry, that's just irony, isn't it? How bad. And obviously he was not listening to anything you said. What can you, I mean, seriously. Oh, that's like giving an alcoholic a bottle of wine, isn't it, and saying don't drink it. That's crazy.
He thought what he was doing was helpful, because what he was basically saying was get out and walk. And the place where people go for a walk, local to us, is on the beach.
Yeah.
And so he just wasn't thinking it through. And I do feel for the man that afterwards he must have realised what he said. And it must have gone, oh my word, just open the earth up.
Put in mouth.
Yeah. So I went back to work corporately after we had 6 years of running our shop, and I'd done the consultancy to the point where it was almost going to kill me, and realised that actually, I could earn less, but I could also work less. So I went back to work corporately. The first 18 months was actually that's belittling the job, and it wasn't belittling worthy. I was a research fellow for Liverpool University on something called health impact assessment. And my role was actually to do the training and development for people internationally in how to do health impact assessment. So that was a really good reintroduction back into the corporate world, but from there I went straight into the NHS. Anybody who is working in the NHS, get out, get out.
No, don't we need them?
No, seriously, get out. If you need your sanity and need to retain your sanity, get out. I worked on a project.
Or it'll fall apart.
It's falling apart anyway.
Yeah.
I worked for something called Agenda for Change, or worked on something rather called Agenda for Change, which was pain modernisation, as Deputy Director of HR for a hospital trust. So I experienced getting about 400 emails a day telling me what kind of bitch I was, because people assumed I was the one who was setting their salary, which I wasn't. I was part of an overall programme that was actually a national programme. So that was tough times. We also were going through a lot of stuff. Now, I'm going to be very careful about what I say here now, because there are things that I'm best leaving out of the story. But there was a situation. The situation led to me refusing to do something. That refusal to do something led to what I know from an HR background was constructive dismissal. And so I had to go through 3 bullying cases that came in on the one day against me, which was part of the constructive dismissal. I'm the one who handled all of the bullying cases. And so I know that even the worst bully in that hospital never had 3 in a year, let alone 3 in a day. So they were planted. It took 6 months whenever I dealt with them. It took 6 weeks to deal with the cases. And on the day that I was told that the cases were unsubstantiated, yeah, right. So I did, by the way, do one thing wrong that I'm not proud of. And if that one guy had submitted a bullying case against me, I would have held my hand up and said, he's absolutely right. I treated him appallingly. I swore at him one day, which is not what I would do normally, and it was inappropriate. And if he had been one of those people, I would have been absolutely, I shouldn't have done what I did.
Yeah.
3 people who put the bullying cases in against me, there was no case to be heard.
So it was all set up, yeah. So how did that lead you into kind of what you're doing now then?
Well,
so what's your sort of...
on the day that my boss was telling me it's unsubstantiated, she then went into her normal meeting and then did as she normally did, which was use the F word throughout it, and got to the end and told me that I could effing go and effing tell the effing staff what they have to do and not to effing swear when I effing did it. And in that one moment, I snapped. And I tore a piece of paper out of my notebook, wrote on it, pushed it across the table. She asked me what the F it was. I'm proud to say, I do swear incidentally, but I'm proud to say in that moment that I didn't swear. I just said, that's my notice and tomorrow you'll get my sick note. And I walked out. And of course, at that stage, I'd not done anything to plan for a business at all. But I did have a little bit of a hobby that I earned a little tiny bit of money from, enough to buy a couple of lenses or whatever, as photography. So I would photograph friends' weddings or photograph their babies or little family photographs, things like that. And so I thought, I don't know what I'll do. I'll become a photographer. And I set up a photography business that was hugely successful. I didn't mean it to be. I think partly because I set it up in the boom time, so that did help immensely. I won loads of awards from it, and I also started to write for a national magazine. So back in about 2008, I think it was, I started to write for Professional Photographer magazine. And I wrote, initially, the first 12 months was about staffing matters. So it's about how, if you're employing staff or you're taking on interns, or even if you go and act as a second shooter for free for somebody, all the staffing things that you need to be aware of by law. And people started to approach me to coach them. And I've got all my coaching experience. I'm trained back in about 2000. I was trained in neuro-linguistic programming. I studied under a guy called Stephen Gilligan in the 90s for self-relations workshops, which is, he was one of the protégés of Milton Erickson, who was the guy who started NLP. It's always Bindler and Grindler that are always talked about as being the grandfathers, but actually they went to learn from Milton Erickson, so I learned from one of his protégés. So I've got all this background, and I thought, well, okay, I'll give it a go. And from there it grew, and grew and grew and grew. And now I don't do any photography except for fun.
Yeah.
And I have a great life.
Fantastic. And so in relation to kind of how you help businesses now, so obviously, you know, my focus is on fast tracking people and looking at how they can get success. So, you know, you talk about your strategies for business survival. Can we go through some of that in relation to kind of, you know, what impact you can have and how you can help, I guess, some tips on how do people get started, what issues they face on a regular basis that you see come up over and over again, maybe?
The first thing is that whenever we do anything in business, we're on our own. And so we find ourselves very easily going inside of ourselves. But the most successful people are the ones who look outside of themselves. And so the moment that, and everybody does this incidentally, I believe even the likes of Richard Branson will have gone through this kind of stuff. Marie Forleo will go through it at times as well. We all go into a tiz. We all have moments where, because of tiredness, lack of money, things not quite going the way we expected, skills gaps, whatever it is, we will have times where we go inside ourselves. So the first of the 3 steps is actually to acknowledge how you're feeling. So, you know what, if it's a shit day, say, it's a shit day today.
Yep.
It's really tough because you didn't earn any money last month. Say, I feel like it's tough because I didn't earn any money last month. Just acknowledge it. And you know, something happens when we acknowledge it, when we say it out loud.
Yeah.
Somehow or other, we just manage to breathe and get more relaxed, and it happens. Things happen once we acknowledge it. When we hold on, though, when we keep the things inside ourselves, that's when things go wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, they say, I know that one of the girls I listen to quite a lot is Sidra, and she's always like, pen it, ink it, pen it, get rid of it. Because if you write it down or get it out there, generally it makes it better anyway.
It
does.
I
like that.
You know, I've got 1 notebook, 2 notebooks. They've all got different purposes. 3 notebooks. I won't get my passion planner out as well. And I've got more in the drawer. They've all got different purposes. But yeah, write things down. Acknowledge what's going on. But I also find verbalizing it, I would say it out loud. I have a manifesting manifesto, and I also believe it works well for when you're going into the tough times. And the manifesting manifesto goes like this. Say it, think it, feel it, believe it, forget it. Shall I say those again? Say it, think it, feel it, believe it, forget it.
Awesome.
And
so, just simplistic, but yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're putting it out there, you're feeling it, you've got to feel it behind it, and if you don't feel behind it, you won't believe it.
Yeah.
And yeah, interesting. Yep.
So if you know you want success, then you've got to start saying it out loud. Say it, and then think it. I went from driving a Vauxhall Corsa, a little tiny peanut of a car, to driving an Evoque, using that, a Range Rover Evoque, and using that manifesting manifesto.
What do you think about, I guess writing it down gets it visual, but I've been doing a lot of Bob Proctor's work at the moment, and he's all about visual, because obviously we think in pictures, because, you know, like you said, he'll ask you, you know, can you describe your car, and the first thing you see is an image of your car. Yeah. How do you get people to visualize it as well, or do you use that in your process?
I use Pinterest a lot, but there's something that's happened, and so I have vision boards. I have a lot of secret vision boards. And that kind of stuff. But something happened for me in the last few weeks that's made me realise I actually need to put my vision board on the wall in front of me. Now, I often say to clients, get yourself a vision board, have it on the wall in front of you. You can heal thyself. What happened is that we're selling our place, and so the stuff that I had on the wall in front of me, I've got this kind of magic whiteboard stuff, so it sticks, it's paper stuff with a bit of static to it, and it'll stick onto the wall. And it's been on the front of the wall, on the wall in front of me, as I've been working through developing the workbook for 28 Days to Your Best Month in Business. That's a self-study program. Now, we're selling our house, so I took them off the wall when we had a viewer. And then one day I was working away on the workbook, and then I glanced up at the wall. Oh, it's gone. And I hadn't realised how much I was glancing up from the computer to look at the stuff. And it made me very aware of when something's on the wall in front of us, we do just do those glances.
Yeah, you do. It's like anything, isn't it? If it's just next to, I've got my, I have my vision for my show literally just to the left of me on my whiteboard, and so every time I glance up, I go, oh, that's right, that's why I'm doing this. You know, it just reminds you of kind of what it's all about and why you're there, and it's not about you, especially if you're stuck. Yeah, it's not about you.
Exactly. So then, so we've got the 3 of these simple strategies. So do you want the other 2 of them? So the next one is quick wins, and I would like to use a debt example for this, because most people who go into business will also get into debt. So, you know, it's not a given, but unfortunately people forget that they can't just spend.
Yeah.
And they don't like somebody stopping them from spending with the husband.
Yeah, especially when there's lots of shiny objects around as well. I did that with courses when I first decided I wanted to change, and I was like, oh my god, I could do that, I got to do this. Yeah. And suddenly before I knew it, I spent quite a bit of money on courses. Yeah.
So yes, in terms of quick wins, the example around the debt is that most people, when they're in debt, take down the one with the cheapest interest rate first, which is usually the one that's got the most debt on it, because that's where you put your biggest debt, the 0-rated credit card. You transfer it all across. But actually what you need to do is pay off the one that's the smallest amount first, because when you pay off the smallest amount, you see a quick win. And the same applies with what you've got to do in your work, is find the ways in which you can have a quick win. So if things are not working out for you with your business, what can you do that will give you a quick win? It might mean that you've got to break down everything into small bite-sized chunks so that you can say, there you go, I've finished that, I've done that. Or, you know, I always advise people to, when they've got a business idea, to go and carry out interviews. Don't just rely on your own thoughts. Go out and interview people who you think might buy what you're going to sell. Find out what problems they've got and what they buy. Well, a quick win is go and interview one person. And you never know from interviewing that one person what that's going to lead to.
Well, that's a key thing, isn't it? It's just taking that action and, like you said, focused action on something that might get you a result, or at least get you information or data you can work from. Yeah, I like that. Really, really quick focus. Yeah. We used to do that a lot in sales. Yeah, we used to do that in sales. I was like, okay, come on, guys, let's hit the phone for just 10 minutes. Let's see if we can get that one appointment or one interview or one, because otherwise you're sitting there all day. You can be really, especially if you're having, like you said, a tough week or the figures aren't there or things like that. It's, it's a good way to get yourself back on track quite quickly.
Just do one thing. And then that leads into the 3rd simple strategy, which is back to basics. Remind yourself what it is you're doing. Remind yourself what you've actually been doing through the day. And you know, this is where it kind of gets cringeworthy for a lot of people, because when you get back to basics and you think about the fact that you're going to work, but your work, you know, I've got the 30-second commute, really long. When we've moved, I might even have a minute commute because I'll pass it.
It's a hard life, isn't it? I roll out of bed at the moment.
I'm aiming for 40 seconds. I don't mind 40 seconds. A minute, I think, might be a bit too much. Yeah, we work for ourselves, and so, of course, now we can do whatever we want, whenever we want. But back to basics means being aware of things like, how many hours did you just spend on Facebook? And sure, we can all sit there and say, oh, I need to be on Facebook for my business. Okay, so how much money did you earn today as a result of being on Facebook? If you didn't earn any money off it, then you've not actually used it for business. So back to basics, for me, is really about, imagine you are an employee in your business.
Yeah, that's really so powerful. Yeah. It's really powerful though, isn't it? Because it's, I deal with a lot of online marketers and internet marketers with what I've been doing over the last year, and they always say, look, you can spend, like we do a lot of blogging and a lot of content marketing, which is you've got to do it for authority, you've got to do it to create, value out there to your marketplace. But also you've got to then focus on the things that what gets you immediate results. Did you run that solo ad to get the leads that you actually needed? Did you follow up any of the leads or send that email out to the leads that you've already got? So it's always focusing on the ones that get you results. And you've got to stop doing more. What we always say, you've got to do more of what's working and stop doing the stuff that's not working either, which a lot of people don't analyze in their businesses. They don't think about, you've spent, like you said, all day on Facebook, but that's great, and you feel like you're building your profile, and you feel like you're looking great, and oh look, people are checking me out and chatting, but what results are you actually getting from that? Did you transfer any to your list? That's a big one for me. So many people have big Facebook communities, and I'm like, but you're not getting them onto your list. If you don't get them onto your list, you can't build a relationship with them, and if Facebook shut down tomorrow, you'd be gone, you'd lose your whole business.
Yeah. All down to the 80-20 rule. You've got to get 80% of your income from 20% of your effort.
Yeah.
And so
we do a lot of that with email marketing.
I'm going to do 80% effort on other stuff that's barely going to earn me any income. No. If you're doing that 80% and it's barely earning you any income, it's time for you to give up working on that.
Yeah.
Continually analyze. Am I spending 80% of my time on something that doesn't earn me money? Right. Okay. Then that goes. I stop doing that piece of work.
Yeah. It's so true.
3 simple strategies. So it's acknowledge, quick wins, and back to basics.
Fantastic. Love it. I'm going to follow some of those. And we're going to share that with you. I'll do some notes after this. I think I'll share that out with my email list as a reminder. So I've written them down. The manifestation, I like that. Manifestation or manifestation. Quick ones and back to basics. What do you do? Love it. And what about your 2 simple tools then? How do we keep sane in a mad place? So if guys, I'm hoping you're kind of getting something out of this. I know some of you may not have started your businesses yet, or some of you may already be in business. But it's a journey. When you start your own business, there's always ups, downs, there's highs, there's lows. For me, very much so, coming out of a very busy, demanding sales environment to working at home, I was like, oh, now what do I do? No one's here to tell me what to do. And it's an adjustment, and it's that, how do you keep that motivation going? How do you keep that process going? And building mastermind teams and groups and getting around people that are doing it as well is so important. But yeah, it's always these little jiggly things you've got to do on a daily basis to remind yourself of what you're doing, because it's so easy to get distracted and I guess it disheartened as well. Most people quit their businesses just before they're due to breakthroughs and successes. I mean, that's common fact. I think it's 97% of people quit just as they're having big breakthroughs, especially online. We see it all the time, because they think it's a quick win.
Have you seen the picture going around Facebook where there's 2 guys doing the
miners, the diggers,
and one of them stops when he's that far away from the diamonds.
Yeah, and that's so true. That's such a powerful vision of what actually happens. So yeah, these are all these little tips that we try and share here. Is it's not just about getting started, and obviously Zoe shared some of her story of how she got started, and making that shift is an important part of creating your life again and getting your life back and your time back and your value back. But also, there are times where you're going to go, oh my God, what have I done? And panic mode sets in. Oh God, I've got to go back to that job. It's secure. And these sort of little tips and hints that you can do will keep you going through those times. And my big one is always remember your why. Go back to your why all the time. Why are you doing what you're doing? And I'm sure your daughter is a powerful reason of why you wanted your life back, why you wanted to stand up and make yourself known, I guess, in a way. So what about your little 2 simple tools to keep you sane? How do we stop going around the bend?
Well, the first one you've just mentioned, actually. It's about who you are.
Oops.
Okay, it shows how powerful a one it is that we both use it. But be focused on why you're doing something. Now, I'm doing it in part because I need to earn an income. We've got to be realistic about this. We cannot be ashamed of earning money in business. If we create a feeling or a sense of shame, if we hear ourselves saying, I can't charge that, it's not right for me to charge that, or, we look down at the paper and go, oh, no, that doesn't look right, that amount, and we're trying to take ourselves down and down in price, that's usually from this shame of earning money. But I'm putting my cards on the table and saying that one of my whys is to earn money. And I need to earn money because just as anybody going out to work earns money, I need to be able to pay the mortgage, buy the food, pay for the bills. I have no shame in the fact that I am in business earning money. So that aside, the money side aside, that's the self-centered part of it. The other part,
and you need it, yeah.
We've all got to have the self-centered part. But then there's two other bits to my why, the outcome part. And part of it is to do with other people, as in this is what I do and why I'm doing this to serve people. And that is that I'm here to enable other women to make it so that they make a huge difference out there in the world. So me making a difference in the world with one or two people here and there enables other people to make a difference with their one or two people here and there. That enables other people to do it, and so on. So I love that snowball effect of what I do here is impacting across the world. And I have to admit, I get overwhelmed by that whenever I say it.
It's very powerful. We forget with the internet how global we can be now. That's the other thing is, you know, you're not operating on your doorstep anymore. You know, I know a lot of people coach, and I'm sure you do coach around the world, and you know that's the joys of the internet and leveraging your time in business. Is you've got to remember there's a bigger platform out there than what you're doing at the moment. Yeah.
I actually sometimes joke about the fact that I've been to Melbourne, Germany, New York, Arizona, and California, all in one day with no jet lag.
I like that, with no jet lag. It's so true though, isn't it? You know, I'm quite often communicating, especially to the US and Australia, and like people going, oh, you're on a 10 o'clock at night call, and I said, yeah, that's because one of my businesses, and this is where a lot of my market is.
Yeah.
And I love that, and you know, I can sleep till 10 o'clock if I want the next day. It doesn't matter because it's my time zones don't make any difference to my business because I don't have to be at my desk at 9 o'clock, you know. And I love doing stuff like that.
One of my whys is that thing about having that impact across the oceans and knowing that what I do impacts for somebody else for what they do that impacts on somebody else and so on. Yeah, but I also have another why as well, and that's that my husband has multiple sclerosis.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I've always had the why that I want him to be able to leave work. Now, it's been taken out of my hands this year because he's actually being laid off. He's being made redundant. He's been there for 35 years, so you know it's not as if he's walking out as a young man. It's, you know, he's taking it as his retirement.
Nice. Yeah. Thank you very much for paying me to leave. Yeah, I was going to go anyway. Yeah.
So
redundancy is going to be a good thing.
Very happy that he's going, but I kind of feel like, oh, what do I do now then? That was one of my motivators.
You have to find another one.
I am working on that at the moment, but that's definitely one of my sanity tools, is that you've got to make sure that you know exactly why you're doing this. Why are you doing it for you? Why are you doing it for those people who are close to you? And I think the new one for me with those people who are close to me will be my daughter's PhD. I'll probably end up paying for her PhD.
Yeah, I was just going to say the university education, something normally comes into it, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'm so proud of her because she's dyslexic and dyspraxic. So she, you know, the fact that she's gone from being aged 9 and us being told don't ever expect your kid to do A levels, to studying at the moment for her master's degree and starting her PhD in October. So I'm so proud of her. So yeah, that'll probably be my new. But
it's also like, who cares? You know, this is the thing. If you look at, I love dyslexia. For me, I wish I was, because I sit there and go, you do, but you always hear some of the biggest success stories are from people that are dyslexic. Because they think their minds work differently. Yeah, like Richard Branson's dyslexic. There's so many that are dyslexic. It's not funny.
Yeah.
And you know, I used to hear the stories. I'd be like, oh, but I'm not. I wish I was. I was the other way around. I was like, oh, darn, you know. But isn't it terrible though? You know, this is one of my real bugbears and passion. Is just like, don't ever let anyone tell you can't do something. You know, it really annoys it, and I've got really passionate about the schools now. And you sit there, because I've done like you, so much on mindset over the last year. I've done so much training around that sort of thing, and it really bugs me of how much our lives are controlled and set up from school, saying you can't do it. You know, one of the things I got over recently was I was told I was rubbish at English. You know, terrible. I used to get hassled in English classes all the time, going, you write like you speak, you know, you've got no grammar. But I used to get my mum to go through and edit all my stuff because I was so embarrassed going into the class how they told me I could never do English. And now I'm on the internet, I blog, I write, and I'm doing stuff, and I love videos and chatting to people, and I get told so much lovely feedback about my stories and my writing because I write like I speak, because it's done in about face. It's like people want to hear you, their personality, and who you are. So it frustrates me that people tell you can't do something. Never let anyone tell you can't do something.
We've always joked with our daughter because she does this whole writing like she speaks. And when she was very small, she used to love this book called The Stinky Cheese Man. And so we always say to her that she's doing the dissertation in the style of The Stinky Cheese Man.
Yeah. But who said you had to write like that? Do you know what I mean? It's like, it frustrates me so much, and it's because it stops creativity. Yeah. And it stopped me from loving what actually I'm quite good at, is writing and storytelling, but I didn't know, and it's only really been, it's funny enough, it's been the last 4 weeks that come about. And I was just like, I didn't realise what my block was, and it was like, it come up about 4 weeks ago, and I was like, I couldn't figure out why I hated writing so much, and it was my bloody English teacher at school telling me, and we're so controlled at that school level, it's unbelievable. So for me, there's a massive passion in me to change some of that schooling, to go, come on guys, yeah.
But that nicely follows into the next of the two sanity steps, because that's about the fact that we should be grateful every single day. We should be grateful. So when these thoughts come into our heads of, oh yeah, but it's because this happened to me at school, or that happened to me at university, or this is how my parents treated me, or any of these kind of things, we can actually turn that around straight away and start thinking about, okay, so that's what I'm moaning about, what can I be grateful for? And I can be grateful, so in your case, I can be grateful for the fact that the internet exists, and I can prove that I can do things well.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome.
You wouldn't be able to be doing what you're doing today. So those are the two sanity steps, one of them being to keep the outcome in mind, but it's the outcome for yourself, the outcome for those close to you, and then the outcome for those further afield, which is the people that you serve.
Lovely. And you've got one more, you had one simple step to make a big difference.
I love this one. So what you see in front of you is a woman who is 139 pounds. Oh, I don't know what that is in kilos. You'll be working in kilos.
No, that's fine. I'm used to. I've been here 13 years. I'm used to pounds now.
And so in English money, we would describe it. I would say it's English money. In English weights, we would describe that as being 9 stone 13. So here I am in front of you, a slim woman. But the last of these tips. This is one step that will make a difference, and that is the act as if frame. So you frame everything in this act as if. Now the reason I say about the weight is because if you'd seen me 3 years ago, you'd have gone, no chance, she's never going to be 9 stone 13. Well, actually, I'll tell the story slightly differently. I acted as if, and so the part of the act as if is that I said, I'm 9 stone 12. And I would just say, I'm 9 stone 12. Anytime I got asked my weight anywhere, 9 stone 12, which is 138 pounds. And you could see people looking at me going, yeah, right, you. Because, I carried around my own tray in front of me, underneath my boobs. My boobs didn't grow as much as my tray did. So I had my own personal tray to put my cup of tea on. I'd rest my cup of tea there.
It's like I've got my padding on my bum to keep me comfy.
I was all done. I had nothing on my
seat comfortable. I carry around my pillow.
Yeah, I could have done with some of that because I never had any padding there. So I would tell everybody that I was 9 stone 12. Now the reason being is that when you do the manifesting manifesto, so that you say it, think it, feel it, believe it, forget it, you then live your life as the person who is that way. So in this case, that weight. And by doing that, you're then able to start making decisions and taking actions of the person who's that weight. So you can use act as if for anything. So if you feel miserable, what would it be like if you acted as if you were happy today? If it feels tough, what would it be like if you acted as if it was easy? If it feels like shit, what would it be like if it actually smelled like roses? You can do it with literally anything.
Yeah.
And it turns your life around.
I like that. It's really powerful, isn't it? It's
so simple, but very powerful.
It is, and that's the thing. But it starts with those simple steps, doesn't it? Totally. Everything mindset-wise starts with very simple steps. Like, you know, I've started a gratitude journal, so every morning I write a gratitude journal out because I was like feeling like I wasn't moving forward enough, quick enough. So I was like, well, I'm not going to move forward until I'm grateful for what I've got. Simple as that. Exactly. So I very much started a gratitude journal, and then since then, so much has happened and changed and developed. So, you know, it's like you said, and I've done a lot of Bob Proctor studying over the last 6 weeks, and you know, he talks about don't focus on what you want to move away from, and so exactly your act as if is focusing. Like he talks about debt as the most powerful one. Is most people in debt want to get out of debt, so that's what they focus on. I have to be out of debt, or I want to be out of debt by whenever.
But what about financial freedom?
That's it, and he said he does the same. So he reverses it, or focus on that you're already earning that money. So instead of focusing on the debt, so focus on say, oh look, I've earned an extra 20 grand this month, or you know, whatever you want to do, but focus on the positive side of that negative, because like you said, the more you focus on it, the more you get it. So I love that active. That's really powerful. Yeah, because it's not. I don't like the fake it till you make it.
I've never been a fan of fake it till you make it.
No, but I like that because it's so true. Because the more you tell yourself in the present tense, because I always say set goals in the present tense, don't they? That you're there. You know, whenever I do goal setting exercises with people, it's always very much like, you know, it's not I want this or you know I will have. It's I am already there.
Yeah.
You know, how do you feel when you're there? What's the experience? What time is it? Where have you heard the news? You know, we do that when we're setting income goals. You know, it's like, well, what would it feel like to wake up with your bank balance at that level on that day?
Yeah.
So the active's so powerful. Oh, I love your story. Thank you. It's really powerful. There's some really, really good, simple techniques there that people can apply straight away. And, you know, even if, you know, you're listening to this and you haven't started your business yet, or, you know, you're not sure where you're going, these sort of techniques can help you kind of, I guess, filter out yourself as well. You know, the sanity thing, you can't do anything until you get a why. So start thinking about your why. You know, why do you want to change? What do you want to do? So start putting some of these in practice. You know, if you want to get out of your current job, go, okay, I want to get out of my current job, but what do I really want? And, you know, a lot of people can't answer that question. They answer the question of what they don't want, but they don't answer the question of what they do want. So even putting in the manifestation and starting to think about, just getting your head starting to think about dreaming and going back to actually what would I do? Like you asked your husband, I love that question. What would you do if you didn't have to be at work? And that's such a powerful, powerful thing to do. So thank you so much for sharing those really cool tools, and I'm going to probably put them out with a blog with your link, because I know you've given a fantastic free gift to everyone that's live today as well, which is just awesome. And what's the headline for it?
It's the happiness guide. Choose happiness.
I love it. It's so simplistic but so powerful. Choose happiness. You know, I always say the power of a smile is meaningless. Like, people laugh at me because I quite often chat randomly to strangers, and my friends go, "Oh, you just talk to anyone, don't you?" And I always said, if I ever lost that, I always said I'd leave London, because I always said that would be the time I needed to get out of London. Yeah. And thank God it hasn't, because you know, sometimes you can just put a smile on your face, and that's enough for other people to smile to change their day. And I always think smiling is the most powerful thing that you can do. Yeah. Now, a few kind of questions. I had a couple of questions emailed to me. One of them was, if you're getting started now, and I guess this now really focuses down onto your process, your quick results, your focused coaching that you do, is what I guess are 3 key things that you would do to get started around attracting the right clients?
The first thing is to get to know what kind of clients you want to work with. You can't attract anybody until you come to understand it. Now, I would say, though, most people talk about it from the point of view of find out what magazines do they read, what TV programs do they watch, what radio stations do they listen to. I never start from there. I always start from, how does the client that comes to me want to be served? So if I was somebody who was doing a fast food restaurant, then the client coming to me wants to be served quickly, without much personality. They just want it to happen. Dum, dum, dum. Do it.
I like that personality. Just the smile, just the smile.
No personality. Well, there isn't much personality in have a nice day and all that kind of thing. It's lovely that it's said, but that's not personality. That's
no,
about
they're in and out. They want to get in quick. They want to get served. They don't want to stand there for 20 minutes waiting. Yep.
But if I'm running a little tiny boutique cafe, then people who come to me want to sit down to seat, they want to be served, they want to be known and liked, they want to feel as though they're welcome every time they come. So starting off with how do the customers who come to me want to be served is far better than starting off with what magazines do they read, what newspapers do they read, what TV programs do they watch. So that's the first thing, is to make sure that you know who you're serving.
Awesome.
The next thing is be visible. People will not come and find you if you set up shop in some back alley.
No. Well, they might, but it'd be a bit dodgy. They might not come back. They might not come back if they go there once, that's for sure.
Sorry.
Sorry, lost you then.
Sometimes I get visuals that I really shouldn't get.
Sorry, you don't want to know what goes in my head.
It also reminds me of a story once. When I was doing the job where I did the health impact assessment at the university, I put on a huge international event and sent out a list of hotels. Our local information centre gave me a list of hotels and wouldn't recommend any. And with it being my own town, I didn't know what hotels people should stay in. So I just forwarded the list on to people. One woman comes along on the first morning and she's fuming. What did you put me up in that hotel for? I said, no, you chose your hotel. Yes, but I went off the list and it was the first one on the list. And it was spelled A-A, and I can't remember the rest of the name now, but it was spelled with 2 A's, so it was the first one. When the taxi driver dropped her off from the train station, so he dropped her off, picked her up at the train station, dropped her off at the hotel. And he said, do you know, it's funny, normally when I drop people off here, it's just by the hour.
Oh, bless. Yeah, I would probably turn around. Go, is there another one down the road that's overnight then? Yeah.
Plenty, yeah. I mean, the warning sign to me would have been £10 a night. Come on.
Yeah, and a taxi driver tells you that you're in trouble, aren't you?
But anyway, sorry. So the second one is visible, and then the third one in being visible is to actually ask. People are always frightened of asking for the sale.
Yeah, totally.
But it's okay. So once you're starting to talk to people about the fact you're in business, ask them. Now, you don't have to say, will you buy from me? But you can say, who do you know who would value working with me? Who do you know who would like the products that I've got for sale?
Yeah.
It's a non-threatening way, because people can then go, well, I don't need your services, but I do know 2 people who do. I'll put you in touch with them.
I love that. That's one of the most powerful selling techniques you can use. We used to use that all the time. Yeah, really good.
You know, and then that way it opens doors. So there you go. They're my 3 ways.
Awesome.
Make sure you know who the client is, be visible, and ask for the sale.
Lovely. And I guess I'm very conscious of time because it's 5:10. I mean, obviously, part of me of this is about creating a lifestyle business and, you know, changing obviously out of that corporate 9 to 5 and just finding something you're really passionate about and doing it. So I guess one of the questions I always like to ask is, you know, what's one big thing that's already changed in your life that's made a massive impact already from doing what you're doing, and what's one thing that maybe you'd like to see in your life in the next 5 years?
One big thing that's changed, I think the biggest thing that I would say is valuing me. Mm-hmm. Because I found that the hardest thing. When I left under the circumstances that I left, when I was doing the corporate life the second time round, I was pretty heartbroken, if I'm honest. And so I didn't really value myself. And I wouldn't say I've had full-on depression that time round, but I wasn't happy. And, you know, I always described the photography as my runaway job. And, of course, because I talked about it as my runaway job, I didn't value myself much in it. I'm amazed when I look back that I was successful, and I'm sure it was down to it being a boom time when I opened the photography business up.
Yep.
So, you know, valuing yourself is something that's so powerful, and the point where I started to value me is the point where I got real success. I actually have little quotes that I put up on Facebook and Instagram and the like, and one that I've got is, nobody values the person who doesn't value themselves.
Yeah, so true. It is so true, isn't it? It's all about... Yeah.
The moment we value ourselves,
Yeah, well, they always say the same about love, don't they? If you can't love yourself, you're never going. No one else is going to love you either. It's you don't, because you won't radiate out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
very
one thing
very
I want
powerful.
to change, it's actually something
Or
I
bring
want to.
into your life something,
Yeah.
maybe a vision or something. What do you see coming into your lifestyle in the next 5 years?
But it's something I want to bring back into my life because
Ooh.
I enjoyed it so much. And I haven't been doing much of it recently. This is not sounding good the way I'm describing it.
I was going to say, we're going back to that dark alley again.
Obviously, because of my background in HR and I did HR development as well as HR management, and the HR development side of things, I used to run training events. I used to stand up and speak in front of large groups, and I am so excited about bringing this back into my life. So we've got a live event that's happening a week Monday and Tuesday, which is, I guess, the first of me running a training course in around about, oh gosh, probably about 9 years, something like that, maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to be doing that again for people because I know that I am a good trainer. I know that I've got a master's degree in learning.
Mm-hmm.
So I know about the group dynamics and how to make things flow and how to make sure you engage people and all that kind of stuff. So I am very excited to be getting back into that. I've got a few speaking engagements as well booked in for this year. Yeah. And so, that side of things, I'm really, really looking forward to bringing back into my life because I know that, when I do things that are even just short things, that I can do things that start that ball rolling again, and I say something that sparks an idea in somebody's mind, they go off and do something that sparks an idea and blah, 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 and there we go. So if I can do that from the stage and if I can do that at training events as well, then I believe that that's going to make a big difference. I'm really excited to get that back into my life.
It's fantastic. Congratulations. And it's true where, and this is again where if you're in flow with your business and that you love what you do, you little things like that pop back up again, don't they? Because it's one of a lot of people try especially when they run their own businesses, I think they try and do everything. But they forget about what they love, and I did a bit of that last year, and I love networking, I love being around events, and I love being out. I'm the same as you. I want to be speaking probably by the end of this year, and because I'd forgotten how much I loved it until I got back out there again. And so I think that's where analysing, where sometimes you get down into what you're doing on a daily basis, you don't get a chance to step back, and I think it's really powerful to have a chance to step back and look at your business or look at how you want to get started and really analyse yourself. What is it you love doing? What are you really passionate about? What skill sets do you really bring to the table? And it doesn't have to be, this was the other thing, is like when I left, I didn't want to become a sales trainer. I've done sales for nearly 10 years now. I was like you, running sales departments, all that sort of thing. I didn't want to become a sales trainer. I didn't want to become a sales professional, and I didn't really want to coach it either. But what I have done is taken the stuff that I loved about being in sales and now brought that into my business. So doing this sort of stuff, I love interviewing and chatting with people and learning from other people, because that's how I used to build my relationships with my clients. I'd go out and meet them. I was one of the only senior headhunters in recruitment that went out to their businesses and got on the ground and got out there with them, and they were like, "You're the only one that ever visit us." And it's that sort of thing that can make a massive difference, but it's bringing those skill sets with you. And I heard this not long ago is, if you don't necessarily see yourself creating a job or a business out of what you do, think about the elements that you love, think about the things that you enjoy doing, and then bring them into your business. So I can't wait to see you on stage. I expect an invite, an event invite somewhere along the line. So you can come in here.
We've got one place left on the live event. We've got one place left.
That sounds like we should put a link up somewhere. Yeah. We've got a live link. If we've got a live link to the web, if you want to share it to try and fill that one spot, let me know, and I'll put it up underneath the page so that people watch the replay.
I will get that over. Thank you.
But absolutely awesome, Zoe. So I hope you've got some inspiration from Zoe's story. Just alone, her story is so powerful that, you can make that change, you can make the shift, and, learn from some of our mistakes, what we've done to try and fast track and not try and hit rock bottom. Please don't drive into any sandy beaches and test that one out for us. But, it is that power. You can turn anything around. And I think that's the powerful thing for me from your story is you can turn anything around no matter how bad it is. there's always a better way out there. You just got to try and find it. And don't be scared to get help. You know, don't be scared to ask for it. Like you said, unfortunately, most of the time, friends, families don't see it. You know, go and get professional help for it. Don't be scared to ask for it. I think that's really powerful. And oh my God, these tips I'm going to share. So look out, guys. I'll be sharing them with you shortly if you haven't already written them all down. And now, Zoe, how can they get in touch with you? Obviously, we've got your free gift link. That'll go below the video on the page, and also I'll email it out to everyone that was live. Is there any other way that you want them to get in touch, or what they can join you on next?
Well, I have a Facebook page which is Being a Success, so facebook.com/being a success.
Oh, I like that, being a success.
Which is 3Ws successrevolution.co.uk. On Twitter, I'm also at Being a Success, so they can find me there as well. And also in Facebook, I've just set up a group called Business Revolutionaries. I have a weekly webinar called Business Revolutionary, me being the business revolutionary. And I thought, you know what, I'm not the only revolutionary, so I'm going to set up a Facebook group for Business Revolutionaries. It's not I'm setting it up to pitch kind of group. It's a group of business women who are just wanting somewhere where they can feel safe. So if anybody wants to join, they're very welcome. They just need to just ask for a request to join, or they can just find me on Facebook as well, which is facebook.com/ I think I'm Zoe.Richards. I think there's a dot in between the Zoe and Richards.
Yep.
So
they'll see you. They'll see your pretty face.
I look
pretty
like,
Zoe, and you'll find it. Yeah.
I don't have a plant pot on my head. There's no pictures of a dog. Instead, it's definitely on Facebook.
Yeah, please don't anyone ever do that on Facebook. If you want people to connect with you, do not put a picture up of someone else's dog or something, because people won't join you. If I get friend requests like that, I just delete them. I'm not interested. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Guys, the replay for this will come out shortly. So I know Zoe's going to be sending it out to her list as well, and I'll make sure it gets out to mine so that you've all got a copy of this. Hopefully you got some awesome value and inspiration, so go out there and be the change that you want to be today. It's Kylie here from mylifestyleshow.tv, and we're going to be signing out. So cheers, guys, and thanks so much, Zoe, for your valuable time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Ta.